What's going on, guys and ladies? My name is Josh. This is Brinks over here. We're going to be going over some different adaptogenic herbs, some mushrooms. So when I first thought of making this video, instead of, I knew I wanted to go over as many supplements as I could. And these videos are something that I plan to do in the future. But I knew that it would be overwhelming for myself and probably every viewer if I tried to do all of the supplements I'm interested in one video. So for this video, I'm going to be consolidating down to not only my favorite four, but the four that I would say are probably the staple. And 3 out of the 4 I'll be going over today are some of the herbs and mushrooms that really got me into all of this. So what we're going to be going over today are lion's mane and chaga mushroom and maca root and ashwaganda root. So to give you guys an idea, the first one we'll go over is chaga mushroom. Chaga mushroom it's a mushroom that's been used for over 3,000 years. So one thing that all 4 of the, let's say, natural supplements or foods that I'm going to go over today, some things that they all have in common: they're all adaptogenics. They've all been used for over 3,000 years. They're all anti-inflammatory and essentially anti-aging as well. And so the first one we'll go over is chaga. Chaga grows in very wet, moist areas like Siberia and Russia in these areas. It's a large mushroom, and it actually gets very, very hard. So they've discovered that about 1,500 years ago that there were people who actually took chaga mushroom and they were able to make boats and actually navigate across the sea using that. So to give you guys an idea, chaga, one of its best properties is its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant markers. So I'm not sure if you guys are sure with this. So the pretty much the system that's used to actually read antioxidant levels is called ORAC. So oxygen radical absorbance capacity. To give you guys an idea of these, and we've come so far with prescription medicine and things that we sometimes get away from the natural medicine, one could say, that's in the natural world. So to give you guys an idea, we always hear about blueberries, acai berries, all these different types of berries and how great they are for antioxidant. You hear about blueberry all the time. To give you guys an idea, blackberry scores about 2,000 on the ORAC scale. Blueberry scores about 2,400. Acai berry scores about 80,000. Now, chaga scores about 3.6 million. It is, as of now, some scientists will say, the highest antioxidant found in the natural world. And that is pretty astounding. The reason I became particularly interested with adaptogenics is I started to think maybe it's not so much that we need more of things, but maybe the amount of processed foods and metals and all this stuff that we're getting when we breathe and when we eat and when we drink, I started thinking maybe the human body is supposed to perform like a normal human being from 80 to 100 years old. Maybe our norm shouldn't be that once you hit 65, men start to have heart problems and all these things. So once you look into the free radicals and all these things that we consume that really damage us, I started to think, those benefits that come with your hair, skin, feeling better, they can all start to come with just getting rid of the things that you shouldn't have in your body. On top of that, chaga. So here are just some small benefits of chaga, I suppose. So lowering cholesterol, anti-cancer, lowering your blood sugar, and lowering your blood pressure. Now, a big one that really kind of captivated me, I suppose, was that chaga has not only the highest antioxidant levels of pretty much any natural food, but it also has the highest melanin content of any natural food. So these are things that most people don't really learn much about. So melanin is great for, well, first of all, we have a pineal gland in our mind, and that can start to calcify, kind of harden. And that's responsible for kind of letting go of certain hormones at certain times. So you hear, of course, you release hormones when you're sleeping, your sleep pattern gets mixed up, and things start to go all over. Well, a very interesting coincidence is that a lot of people who have either found breast cancer, different types of cancers in their body, there's a correlation to low levels of melatonin. Melatonin is produced in the pineal gland when it is performing healthy. So there's a big concept of kind of decalcifying your pineal gland, which leads to more natural performance throughout the day. And all of this, again, I try to remind myself that the body is a system. I hate to say this, it's a system of checks and balances, right? So it's important to keep everything working all together. And so that's one of the big reasons I like Chaga. And I've been taking it for about 6 months now, and I plan to continue. Personally, I feel like I've seen some great benefits in my mood. I feel like overall, probably my skin, I feel like it could be a coincidence. I don't think it is, though. I feel like I've seen some great benefits with my skin ever since I started taking Chaga. So the next one we're going to get onto is probably my favorite out of all of them. And you can see right here, I just get Chaga in powder form. And it's like 1 teaspoon is a serving. So I make a little smoothie and I throw 1 in here. You can get the mushroom itself. It's a little easier for me. So the second one is the other mushroom we're going to cover is lion's mane mushroom. So you can see this is just another powdered capsule form as well, which lion's mane I actually have got twice. I got it at the farmer's market and I cut it up and I cooked it with my eggs. Now, lion's mane was the very first adaptogenic I ever got into, and the reason for that was it was during the time I kept looking, I just started college and I kept looking things up like, supplements to make you smarter, brain health, all this. And it was a concept of pretty much the same thing I said before, where it's kind of like, how do you know that you're really operating like you should? And instead of just taking an approach of always, looking for something to make you smarter and this and that, it was more so like, let me get the negative things out of my body and see if that's actually what I'm looking for. So lion's mane, it's a mushroom. It grows in Asia. There are 2 types of mushrooms that are similar to it that grow in America, but actual lion's mane, and I definitely do not know the real name to it off the top of my head. But it grows in Asia, and it's very interesting. It looks almost like a nervous system growing off the side of a tree. It's white, and it looks like icicles trickling down. I learned about it from Paul Stamets, who owns a company called Host Defense. And the way he kind of approached it was, for the longest time, we thought you age, essentially neurogenesis ends and you stop producing nerves in your mind and those nerves start to die. So not only do you stop producing them, but the ones that you have become unhealthy and there's not really a way for them to recuperate and help themselves. So with lion's mane, there actually are studies. So there's a group of compounds found in lion's mane called iridescens, and they regenerate myelin on the axons. So what the axons are individual strands of your nervous system. The myelin is a shell that goes around that protects it and it keeps it healthy. And so when you take lion's mane and you have the iridescens, that actually regenerates that shell that goes around the nervous system. So vice versa, someone who's had nerve problems, nerve damage in the past, taking lion's mane could be great for starting to build that nervous system back up. One thing I will say with lion's mane is, so it's not just for improving the nervous system, but a lot of things go on using our nervous system. And so vocabulary and, attention to detail, these are also things that are benefits of taking lion's mane mushroom. And it's going to be different for everyone. Some people report it being closer to like an ADD medication, something that is kind of gets them very wired. Some people report more of a relaxing feeling. What really hooked me with lion's mane is I was very skeptical. It was my first kind of mushroom supplement, first adaptogenic I ever took. And when I took it, that very first day, I was working as a personal trainer in a gym. And I went up to one of my clients and we start getting into a conversation. And I started using words that I definitely did not use. And I used them well, and I used them in context well. And I remember walking to the bathroom after that conversation, and it was one of those things, when you know, you know. And I knew right away that that was my very first serving of lion's mane ever, about an hour and a half prior to this, with, I think I had a cup of coffee. And, it's one of those things, once you really believe something works, you're going to stick with that. And this is something I swear by. Some small, well, I wouldn't even say small, some benefits I've had since I started taking Maca. I would say a more calm thought process. So instead of sometimes feeling like thoughts are coming from all over, and it's kind of difficult to grasp those thoughts and put them in order and control them. And it could be anything, like, you have 2 hours to get 3 hours of work done, and you're kind of sitting there and just like, oh, how am I going to do this? So lion's mane really helped me in that aspect. And so many times I started taking it in 2017. So over the last 3 years, I can feel when that moment's about to happen. It feels like a really creative mixture of slow and fast. Almost like you're kind of putting certain parts of your brain on pause, while other parts of your brain kind of activate and work as they should. And I've realized that kind of slowing down but also speeding up feeling, that it really, really helps me. And, some things that I would say off the books aren't so important. One thing I've really noticed with lion's mane is I'm much more witty. I've always been a witty person. So, when someone says something in that quickness, right? That quickness and how quickly you respond with something like that. And so I'm always doing that. I can kind of feel it when it's about to happen. And I feel the same exact way that I did before I started taking lion's mane. And the best way I could kind of use this as a metaphor was, let's say like before, when you were thinking something and you were thinking that you were going to say something, it would be like you're loading a cannon. And as you're loading that cannon, you're waiting for it to blast off. And that blast off is you speaking what's in your mind. It's that same exact process, but more controlled and much faster. And so lion's mane is one of my favorites, probably my favorite overall. And to go over some of the other things that it does. So regenerates your nervous system, regenerates the nerves in your mind, which is a huge deal. And what I would say is both of these, chaga and lion's mane mushroom, they're going to be just as beneficial as, if not more beneficial for, let's say, the elderly. Because of this, so nerve generation is one of the leading causes of dementia, Alzheimer's, these types of things. So when let's say someone in that position starts taking lion's mane, starts to regrow those shells around their nervous system and the nerves in their brains, and let's say they take it on top of taking chaga with it, and now they're starting to take a lot of those free metal, or those metals and free radicals out of their body. This could really, really help them. So on top of that, of course, lion's mane can help reduce the risk of heart disease by lowering blood pressure, blood sugar. Also, it's an anti-inflammatory. Like I said at the beginning, all of these are going to be anti-inflammatory. So that's number 2 out of number 4. All right, I'm back. I had to go take care of something. So we're going to get right back to it with going over ashwaganda. So you can see here, I just take the powdered capsule form. So one of the main benefits of ashwaganda is its mood stabilizing, its kind of depression lifting effects that it has. Out of all 4 of the supplements I'm going over today, ashwaganda is the main thing I like about ashwaganda is actually clinically proven to lower cortisol levels. And if you know anything about stress, stress is directly associated with cortisol. I mean, we need cortisol, but we don't need as much as most of us get. And so that's another benefit of these adaptogenic herbs and mushrooms, is that, when it looks at your body as more so a whole system, it's able to address those things. When I first started taking ashwaganda, I actually originally started taking it. There was a pretty big guy at the gym I was working there, and I would see him all the time. So I started talking to him. And he's the one who kind of led me on to ashwaganda. So I started looking into it after a lot of claims from different people about improving their strength, and not just improving their strength, but they felt that their muscles themselves had a more overall round look to them. So I started taking it. I realized that it's been popular in Ayurvedic medicine in India for over 2,000 years. And so it's a very, very popular herb. And to go over some of the benefits again, it's anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer. It helps lower your, or keep your blood sugar in a good level. Of course, blood pressure. Now it can boost testosterone and fertility in men, strengthen muscle mass, and again, it reduces inflammation. And it's an antioxidant. So you'll see all throughout the list of things I've gone over so far, they're all anti-inflammatory, and they're all antioxidant. And so that's kind of, again, what I'm getting at is the fact that these things, not only do they help with certain things, but they help keep that baseline of what our system needs by affecting many other things. So now I'm going to get on the last one that we're going to go over. Another root, another herb. So this is maca root. So maca root has been used, well, first of all, it grows in Peru. I'm not exactly sure if that's the only place that it grows. I am confident that the majority of maca does come from, it comes from Peru. And here we have that it grows, so we have that it grows in extreme, it grows very well in very high altitudes. And so they originally started feeding horses that were in the Himalayan mountains, maca, because it would start to get wet, it would start to get cold, and the horses would eat the maca root and it would, they would end up surviving. And throughout time, humans started taking it. Some interesting facts about this. So, well, first of all, it contains and helps release more brain lipids in your brain. So that's extremely beneficial for you. It's high in GABA. Now, the one thing that's pretty cool about maca is how nutritionally dense it is. Everything I've gone over on this list is very nutritionally dense, but maca is really something else where when you look at the amount of vitamins, proteins, carbohydrates, iron, magnesium, all these things, compared to the weight of the actual, not just the root itself, but compared to the weight of the substance, it's pretty eye-opening because, we get so used to kind of eating big servings of meals. But the thing is, when you look at more nutritionally dense foods, you realize that if you're eating the right foods, you don't need all of that food. So, of course, we have brain function, and to add on some of those things, the Inca warriors, the leaders, the commanders would give the troops maca when it would be time to go in to a city and conquer it. And they had a rule that was as soon as you would conquer the city, you would have to stop taking maca. And the reason why is maca, one of the other original uses for it was an aphrodisiac. So it does help with balancing your hormones. And it helps with fertility, but also libido. It is, I want to say probably the most popular, but it's up there for sure with like horny goat weed, yohimbine, and different things like that. I've noticed with myself that it definitely, I would say it definitely, it has that vitalizing effect, and you can definitely feel it, you can notice it. And what I would say out of all of these, and again, maca is great for anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. So what I would say in general, the maca and the lion's mane are going to be a little more, well, they are stimulants. So they're going to be stimulating, kind of like a coffee where you might notice that quickness of your mind. Where chaga and ashwaganda are much more kind of attacking cortisol and kind of decompressing. So what I do is I take lion's mane usually first thing in the morning when I wake up with coffee before I have any breakfast. With my breakfast, I have my multivitamins and my maca because, again, it's more of a stimulant. And then at the end of the day, my little nightly routine is I mix up the chaga with some hot water, and then I drink about half of it, and then I take the ashwagandha. And usually I don't even finish all of my chaga, and I think a big reason for that is this little routine that I have down. It seems to work really well because the ashwagandha seems to start kind of kicking in right around the same time the chaga is. And this is ashwagandha and chaga together so far is probably the best sleep I've ever had, based on me going through kind of having sleeping problems. So I was having sleeping problems for a little bit. I was taking ashwagandha and chaga more towards the beginning of the day. Now I take it about maybe an hour before I would like to fall asleep, and I've been having great sleep. So I plan to continue doing these videos, and if there's anything specifically you guys want me to go over, leave a comment. And you know, I also looking this stuff up for my own self. So if there's anything new or interesting in general, leave a comment, because if I don't know about it, I would love to look into it. And I hope this helps some people. Thank you.